In my reaction to the fight last night, I said something very important about the sweet science. There's a science to counterpunching, there's a science to boxing on the outside, there's a science to inside fighting, footwork, and all of these other skills. But probably the most overlooked aspect of the science is the intangible things, skills that aren't as obvious but just as impactful. Showing the ability to consistently, repeatedly, and effectively break people's wills and bodies is a science, and it involves a meticulous methodology that Artur BETERBEIV is masterful at. Okay, let's take a look. Immediately into the fight, what does he do? He jumps in with a leaping left hook, which I think everything he does in his first round is very purposeful, and we'll talk about that. And so when he sets the tone, that means his opponent doesn't get settled in. Weaponized cardio means making somebody fight at a higher pace than what they're used to or what they will want to fight at. Part of understanding combat is recognizing the nerves and anxiety involved in fighting. So when you see beginners get tired, it's not always because of a lack of cardio, but rather it's an abundance of adrenaline that causes an early adrenaline dump, making them tired within a couple of minutes. When fighters come out in this first round, like how Callum Smith probably wanted to, normally that round is slow, not just for data collection, but to also ease into the fight and calm the nerves and stuff like that. But Artur takes that away immediately. He jumps on him literally and pushes him back, literally pushes him back. And then a few seconds later, you have Callum Smith against the ropes, and you see BETERBEIV. Look at the aggression on his face. He's throwing these in the first 10 seconds. He's starting off throwing the hardest punches he can possibly throw. He's fully putting his body weight behind him. He's aggressive. He's doing everything he can. He's launching him into the corner. Like, it looked like something out of a Rocky movie. That's how hard he's hitting him. But you always hear about the importance of first impressions. They're important because they impact the trajectory of a relationship. This also applies to fighting. When BETERBEIV comes out swinging this hard and cornering Smith, Smith is already in the mind state of defensiveness because he feels that power. He's worried about defending himself primarily, and then offense becomes secondary to that. So he's already getting cornered, and mentally and physically, that's going to be continued throughout the fight and take a toll. BETERBEIV's punches are purposely hard early on for this reason. And immediately when that bell rings in the second round, look what happens. BETERBEIV steps up, he's aggressive, he's jumping forward, he's backing him up against the ropes. It's 2 seconds into the first round, 258, 257. Where's Smith? Back against the ropes. That's very intentional. Every round it starts off very similar, jumping in with that aggressive mindset of getting Smith already thinking, okay, I got to defend myself. Part of the battle is also determining where the battle takes place. So right here, Smith is kind of like closing in on BETERBEIV, and BETERBEIV is against the ropes. What does he do? He pushes off. So those are subtle moves, those little tiny subtle things that can get overlooked. That little shove is one of the examples. He's able to rearrange the pieces on the board to better favor him. So if he wants to box on the outside or make room, he can push you off and come at different angles with his feet. And we're going to talk more about his footwork in a second part, follow up to this video. Okay, it's moments like this where you start to see the battle turn into a slaughter. Why? Well, Smith is giving off some of his best offense, right? And this is in the second round, one of Smith's better rounds, if not his best round. He's initiating, he's throwing combos, he's backing up BETERBEIV, and then BETERBEIV is going to try and reset and come back in, and then he's going to jab to the body, and then we're going to get the same thing. And that jab is going to back BETERBEIV up for a quick second, but look at what BETERBEIV does. It goes right back. So what you do, what Smith was having success with was he was getting BETERBEIV to reset and stop for a couple seconds, but then that's it. It's a little bit of a break. It's not, he doesn't really get an opportunity to really get a break because BETERBEIV is constantly on the gas. So the key point is BETERBEIV's reaction. He takes the shot, blocks some of them, resets, foot back on the gas. That's what pressure is. And like anything else in existence, a human can only take so much pressure. In order to constantly back him up, you have to constantly punch or have very convincing feints. But the vast majority of fighters don't have either of those capabilities to the degree that would be required to stop this man from doing what he wants to do. And then we'll look at another small detail. Watch Artur's lead hand. That's not a jab. That's not a jab. That was a jab. But those lead hand probes are directing and guiding Callum Smith into a corner. He's corralling him. He wants him in that corner, so he's using that lead hand as a tool to push him there. In the second video, I'll talk more about footwork and defense, but just this quick moment. And you could look at a lot of moments that are just like this, but Callum Smith is opening up with a combo like how we said earlier, and he tries to throw this left hook. What does Artur do? He turns, elbow, boom, block. His high guard is kind of underrated. This moment kind of encapsulates at least defensively in mid-range and on the inside why Callum was having such a hard time finding opportunities to work. That high guard is subtly effective at deflecting and catching glancing blows, because when he keeps it glued like how he is right there, he can turn it and twist it properly to catch the right shots. And at the same time, one overlooked thing is when you hit that elbow, that probably hurts your hand like hell, especially if you're throwing a hard shot like how Callum was. Okay, back on the topic of weaponized cardio. Notice how compared to the first round, the shots that he's throwing right now, they have very little steam on them. That jab was literally just the extension of an arm. We'll look at it again. This little tiny jab, just the extension of an arm, but he has probably pound for pound the heaviest hands in the sport. I don't know what, yeah, he's like a freak of nature. But just with that extension of the arm, it looks like a sledgehammer blasted Smith in the head. So he doesn't need to go full power because he already set the tone in the first round. In that first round, you saw how much effort he was putting into the punches. He doesn't need to do that right now because these low effort, low energy punches aren't taxing him, but they are taxing Smith. That's weaponized cardio, and that's breaking somebody down. But I'll keep this brief and short because I do want to do a second part and look more at the defense and the footwork and things like that, and then also how the fight ends. And I'm having fun with this breakdown, so it'll be multiple pieces, at least 2 pieces counting this. So yeah, shout out to my fight scientist, Immortality Serum out.